has been Daydreaming, courtesy of StreamYard. Episode 80 of LightsThunderAction is here. We're going to talk Moon Knight Episode 1, predictions for Moon Knight Episode 2, and the news. And let's be honest, we got a prayer circle going on here. We're all hoping that the Thor Love and Thunder trailer drops in the middle of our show at halftime of the national championship game. What are we talking about? Basketball, kids. Back to the plot. We'll see you after the jump. Welcome to
LTA with
TCR
and JRB.
This is where the fun begins.
You're just not thinking fourth dimensional.
Floris, Peter 03.
Num num.
I'm vengeance.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yup! I love you guys.
Hold on to your butts.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
Dude, I almost had you.
To that I say, all right, all right, all right.
Good evening. It is April 4th, 2022, and it is time for... Wow, that year just hit me really hard in my head. 2022. It is time for your Monday night Pick Me Up, where two beard bros dive into all things Marvel, DC, pop culture, IP, and the latest happenings in the film industry.
Absolutely. We have a big show coming up today. We're going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi series getting pushed back. We're going to talk about Ezra Miller getting arrested, having some trouble again. We're going to talk about Multiverse of Madness being apparently a lot shorter than we were expecting. And is the Daredevil series officially MCU canon after all? Well, we're going to get into all of that and a lot more in just a minute. But first, Thomas is going to let you know where to find us.
Oh, yes. We are live beaming directly into your homes and phones via our Lights Thunder Action Facebook and the HWWS WebTV channel on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube. That's right. They're everywhere, kids. All those links can be found at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. All one word, no hyphens, no spaces. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow to view the live version of our show where you can interact with us. But if you don't want to look at our beautiful beards, but you do want to hear our beautiful voices,
then you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, and Spotify. Follow us, subscribe to us on those platforms. Leave us a 5-star review while you're there, and ask us a question, and we just might answer it on this very show.
it's true. All
Thomas,
of it.
how are you?
I'm good, man. I have survived Monday. I needed this Monday night pick me up. Let's hope it gets electrifying later, just for, well, I mean, why not? Very, very excited to be here. And we got a lot of news, man. I got some thoughts on some of this news, probably all of it, but I really got some good thoughts and some theories, fan theories, if you will, about Moon Knight, man. I absolutely loved episode 1. My spoiler-free review is I loved episode 1, and the cinematography is the GOAT right now. But the spoilers are going to be gone later on, kids. There's no spoilers later. But how are you, JRB?
I'm doing okay. I'm glad we have a lot of news to talk about to keep myself distracted from this NCAA tournament game that's going on. I don't know if you can see the colors I'm wearing for our viewers, but my team Duke got beat in an awesome game on Saturday nights. So they were kicked out of the tournament, don't get to go to the championship. So UNC, University of North Carolina, is taking their place. They're going to compete against Kansas tonight. So I'm repping UNC. Don't want to lose to the loser, so I'm hoping they win. But yeah, that's kind of where my head's at. Just trying to keep my mind off of it. Going to talk about some cool Marvel stuff, other things in the industry happening that kind of shocked me. So yeah, happy to be here, to say the least.
Okay, so I started Midsummer last night. And I did, ended up having to stop, talk to somebody, and it got late. And so I was like, I'm not going to finish this movie. It's still got like an hour plus left. Holy crap. So I'm halfway through Midsummer. This is going to be very exciting for everyone. What the hell? This movie is so weird, man. I love it. And I hate horror. I was told that I might not like the gore. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. But, correct. But some of it is like, that's not too bad. It's not like Fear Street, where it's like just gushing blood all the time. Like it's gross, but it's not squirty, if you will. That's what gets me. That's what I don't like about it. It's the squirty blood sitch that is where I'm like, I think I'm okay. I feel like I've seen this before. Have you been watching? Have you watched anything new lately?
Yeah, you know, it's funny you mentioned that. The past 2 nights, I have tried starting Death on the Nile because apparently it's free on Hulu. There's literally 2 ad breaks in it, and they're both within the first hour of the film, and then there's no more ads. But it's on Hulu if you have a Hulu subscription. So I saw that. I was like, heck yeah. I turned it on Saturday night after that game. I must have just been too worn out from that grueling loss. I expended all my energy, so fell asleep. Turned it on again yesterday, got a little bit further in, and then fell asleep a second time. So I am now 0 for 2 trying to get through this movie. So I'm going to try it again this week. And if I can't get through it the third time, I'm just going to Google what happens because I'm not that invested, but I'm hoping it picks up a little bit because it's a slow burn. But yeah, Death on the Nile is my current project I'm trying to get through.
That's the one with Kenneth Branagh, right?
It's the one with Gal Gadot, yeah. With it has an amazing cast. I was really happy to see Letitia Wright in there too. I don't see her in a lot of stuff that I'm interested in, so it was cool to see her play she's got this really nice like southern drawl in it too. She plays it really well. Wow. But yeah, it's got an awesome cast. I don't know what it was. I must have just been too tired. So yeah, but it's a new movie. It made some waves at the box office. People really liked it in theaters, so I'm excited to finish it. I just need to stay conscious. So anyway, what do you say we get to it, huh?
Let's do it. Ladies and gentlemen, droids of all ages, it is time for this world famous journalist to my left to dive into everything that you want to hear in the world today. That's right, it's everyone's favorite segment. What, the news? Beautiful.
So right off the bat, we're going to talk about something that Thomas is passionate about, to say the least. It's the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Yay! So, Ewan McGregor just told us that the series is going to be arriving a little later than usual. It wasn't delayed by much, but it was pushed back to Friday, May 27th, as opposed to 2 days prior on May 25th. Then after this, after the debut episode on Friday, May 27th, the show will then be reverting back to its normal Wednesday release schedule, Wednesday to Wednesday. But to kind of make amends for that, I guess, Friday, May 27th will give us 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi as the premiere, meaning that it will now conclude on June 22nd. Thomas, what do you think about this change? What's going on?
Okay, so first, let's talk about the ride that we had as fans, right? We get this great video where Ewan McGregor just reveals like all this great stuff. It's Ewan McGregor talking, all right? It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. You stand at attention and listen. I remember nothing other than him saying that May 27th is the premiere of Obi-Wan Kenobi. It'll be on Friday, and it was made to seem in the video like it's Fridays going forward because we're premiering it on May 27th with 2 episodes. Huzzah! Instantly, I'm like, all right, that's amazing. Star Wars Fridays are back. That's the best thing ever. Marvel Wednesdays, Star Wars weekends. Like, let's go. Like, why not do life that way? And then they come out and reveal that it's only for Friday, or only for that week, which is questionable how they're going to do Star Wars and Miss Marvel when we get to that point. But the reason I think that they changed this from the very beginning is because they want to premiere it at Star Wars Celebration, which starts May 26th. I think that the original idea was for them to premiere it on, the anniversary, May 25th of Star Wars in 1977. And then, they were going to have all this fun Kenobi stuff. Well, now it looks as if May 26th, you get the premiere of Kenobi, and then you get the whole panel with it, is how I'm reading it. Like, oh, let's premiere it for our fans. You get the first look in the world because you're here at Star Wars Celebration and we're going to celebrate Star Wars with you. However, it does bring a question, not even related to Kenobi, that if this is how they're going to start Star Wars Celebration, is that just like the start of all the awesome stuff, or is that the peak and we go downhill? That's a Star Wars fan question. If you want to listen to that query, that's going to be definitely covered in Reckless Rebellion, this next pod, episode 19, because that's where we're going to talk deep about the Star Wars ifs and wins and buts. But let's talk about the Marvel ifs and wins and buts here, because that means, right the following week, that would be June 1st. Yes, June 1st, Kenobi episode 3 drops. The very next week, June 8th, Miss Marvel drops episode 1. Then they're going to have 3 weeks of lap. The first 3 episodes in a series of a character no one's ever had, with the back 3 episodes of possibly the most popular Star Wars character of all time. I mean, hello there. It's people's ringtone. It's my ringtone. I'm people. And and it's insane to me that they're doing this, especially when Star Wars on Fridays has been an absolute peak hit. And I just dislike that they're changing that. John Ross, what do you think about this change?
I think it's tricky because the main reason I say that is because of what you mentioned about Miss Marvel. They've gone way out of their way to avoid overlapping these projects in the past between Marvel and Star Wars on Disney Plus. We've seen them do a really good job of navigating between, releasing episodes for Book of Boba Fett and then releasing episodes of like Hawkeye. We've seen them kind of navigate through that already, and how careful they are to not have them overlap. And it makes me worry for Miss Marvel because it's already been subject to delays. It's already been subject to the utmost uncertainty out of any Disney Plus project around right now as to when we can expect it, because this was supposed to be a 2021 release. We were supposed to get it before Hawkeye and possibly even before What If. And I remember sitting there summer of 2021 thinking, all right, another day's gone by. We still don't know anything about Miss Marvel. Another day's passing on the calendar. We still don't have a trailer or release date. And there's already so many questions around this character, such as, who is she? What does she do? What's the story going to be? What are her powers? Where is she going to fit into the greater MCU? And you're throwing all of that uncertainty right in smack dab in the middle of, like you said, possibly the biggest Star Wars series that Disney Plus has to offer right now. The biggest character in the Star Wars IP that fans know and love, at least top 3, and to have Miss Marvel debut right in the midst of all that, let alone the same day as Obi-Wan's 4th episode, as you're saying? 4th or yeah. I don't want to reach the back half of Obi-Wan and then have to flip over to Miss Marvel and learn about that character on the same day. There should at least be a couple days buffer between them to separate those releases, instead of this huge content dump that we're going to find every Wednesday on Disney Plus now, where these subscribers that maybe only have an hour or 2 free in their day are going to have to make that choice. Do I watch this huge Obi-Wan series that we've been waiting forever for and that everyone's excited about, and surely everyone will be talking about? It's going to be packed with so many cool instances, like Hayden Christensen returning as Darth Vader. That alone is going to be such a strong pull. And you're putting an obscure new character like Miss Marvel up against that the same day. I don't see how that's going to work for the Marvel series. I don't think Star Wars will be affected because Miss Marvel is such a low grade character right now, because so many people are still unfamiliar. I don't think it's going to hurt Obi-Wan, but I do think it's definitely going to hurt the Marvel side of things. So I would say with how they've been with their information regarding this series, more to come. I would not be surprised if we see Miss Marvel move around again. That's definitely in the cards based on what they've done with this series already.
It definitely is. And it what bothers me the most, and it's important to note that I am a cis white male, right? Like I am
Yes.
I am literally about to just talk about how we are about to put Obi-Wan Kenobi, literally the guy who everyone looks at as space Jesus, right? In the world of pop culture.
Right.
And the end of his story is going to overlap with the start of a young Pakistani teenage girl show. Like that just doesn't feel right in terms of marketing.
Right.
And I think that they definitely are. They're trying something out. I thought I'd be more excited about the overlap of Star Wars and Marvel, but I don't want them on the same day. Selfishly, I might not even get to watch Miss Marvel because if they're dropping on the same day and we record, Reckless Rebellion the same day as Kenobi drops, which is normally how we do things, there's no time for Miss Marvel. I have to watch Kenobi 3 times before I record. That's just the rules. I don't make them. I do make them. I should probably do one less viewing, but I definitely I have a hopeful side that I'd like to present, and it's just that if they are dropping 2 episodes on May 27th, fingers crossed that they drop on June 1st 2 more episodes, and then June 8th 2 episodes, so that it ends the same day as Miss Marvel starting.
Interesting.
Because as David Thompson loves to say, it should have been a movie. I disagree, but I have zero qualms if they release Kenobi. Like, if for 3 straight weeks we get a movie of Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, an hour and a half of Kenobi. Are you kidding me? Like, I just got chills. That's how they can. That's how you can save it, Disney. Bob Chapek. Yes, I was gonna say shout out Ricky from Spoiler Force Podcast. He's hanging out here with us in the comments. He says, in the words of Obi-Wan, hello there. We also have Aunt Pam in the house for JRB.
Heyo. She's been
with us
on every episode so far since I've started. So really good to see Aunt Pam always frequenting in our comments. Hi.
Absolutely.
Miss you. Love you.
Things we're not very excited to see frequent our headlines here is the name that he shall not be mentioned, Ezra Miller.
Ezra Miller. Yeah, that's a tough one. That's not something I like reading because it's usually bad news. But yeah, so they ET Canada reported that a Hawaiian couple has been granted a temporary restraining order against the Flash star Ezra Miller after the actor reportedly threatened to burn and kill them. This comes shortly after Miller was arrested for harassment of the couple, with the filing of the restraining order coming shortly after. A court hearing assessing their temporary restraining order is scheduled against Miller for April 13th. But this incident could seriously threaten the actor's career, specifically with Warner Bros. As the Flash, with that huge movie coming out, which just started its test screenings last week, the same time this happens, as the studio has previously taken severe actions against stars who exhibit this sort of behavior. I have to say, they haven't acted on his behavior thus far. I would say he's already done enough to kind of tarnish his image, if you will. I've really haven't been a fan of him since that scandal where he choked out one of his fans and basically chokeslammed her. So I don't know why he still has supporters behind him, but if this ain't the last straw, what's it going to be? How far does this guy have to go before, there's consequences? Because he's still the Flash. He's still the leading star of that movie. But I'm already getting ahead of myself a little bit. Thomas, what do you think about all this?
It's weird because anytime I hear the word Ezra, I think of Ezra Bridger. I used to think of Ezra Miller, and then he choked a lady, and I was like, I don't like that, sir. So I'm gonna just kind of avoid you, senor. Have you seen? Hold on, what is that movie? Is it? Oh my God, it's with Amy Schumer. Pineapple. It's like pineapple's my safe word. Pineapple. Wait, you're 17? Oh my God, like it's insane. That's where I first met Ezra Miller, and every time I see his name, all I can think of is pineapple. I'm bowing out. I think this is terrible. I I mean, threatening to burn and kill somebody is never good.
No.
I mean, I can't say that I've never felt that way towards someone, but I don't tell them that. And I certainly don't like chase them after. And I certainly don't, get a restraining order because I'm just like, that's kind of mean, Thomas. Don't think that. Just go to bed now. Thank you.
Yeah. Normal human stuff.
Yeah, normal broken vessel things. But April 13th, maybe, just maybe, we'll learn a thing or two, or it'll get pushed back, or it'll get settled out of court. I mean, who the hell knows? But I don't think Warner Brothers will take action. I just don't see them as the action-taking brand.
I don't either. It seems very unlikely. What they've already dealt with, it seems like they only get stuff out of their way when it's going to cause a problem for them. And unfortunately, I just don't see this causing a big enough problem for them to act. I think they can just ignore this and let him handle it on his own. And as long as he stays out of jail, we're just going to keep moving forward, which is really unfortunate.
Very unfortunate. And
I hope I'm wrong.
Same. I do as well. They really got a lot of Ezra in their life with Fantastic Beasts, and he's also not been in any marketing for that movie, by the way, from what I've heard.
Straight up didn't even know he was in that. I've seen a lot of trailers for it at the theater too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They've conveniently, strategically left him out of marketing.
See, that's the thing is if you're going to that extent to have a name like Ezra Miller in your movie and to not advertise it, pick a different name. Pick someone that you can use as a pull for people to come see your movie. If it seems like this business is all about making money, and we'll get into that a little later with Chris Pine's comments on the Star Trek franchise. But it seems like this industry is all about making that money now. Is Ezra Miller really making you money right now? Who's supporting this guy? All right. And you'll have to excuse me. I did read somewhere recently that his pronouns are now they, them. So even as I'm saying that sentence, I'm not saying it properly. That is going to take some getting used to. So bear with me. Very sorry about that. But it's
thank you for the reminder on that. Thank you for the reminder on that.
Yeah. See, I didn't even know. I just learned that today. So but Ezra Miller, they are in some hot water, and they seem like they're just submerging themselves even further at this point, because what are you doing? Act right.
Well, I don't got nothing to say on this Miller topic, this Millerverse that he's created. Millerverse just sounds like a
Millerverse. I don't want to hear that again.
Like a shoot of, oh my God, like a slide of beer flavors.
You know what?
Right?
No more Millerverse. Let's talk about the multiverse, and specifically the madness within that multiverse. We got some news today that are over the last week that Multiverse of Madness is only about 2 hours long. And we were expecting a little more, not because anyone really told us, but it was rumored for a long time that Multiverse of Madness was going to be around 148 minutes, which is about 2.5 hours, a little less. Now we're being told that it's going to be 126 minutes, which is 2 hours, 6 minutes to be exact. I believe that includes the credits. So we're probably looking at like an hour 50, hour 55 of actual screen time for our characters, which is pretty standard for a Marvel movie. That's kind of how they started it. That was phase one, basically. All those movies were around there. But I got to say, that's a little shorter than I was expecting, especially for the scale that we're going to be working with in this film. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to join the Kleinfeld train here. I'm getting worried. The fact that this runtime is the same exact length as Iron Man, they got a lot done in Iron Man with 5 characters, 5 faces. So in this, we have like 5 Stranges. Okay, to be fair, I'm very hopeful that they pull the same gimmick from Spider-Man No Way Home that they from Spider-Man No Way Home here, where you got all these Stranges, but they just help explain and help give background and help give what is the word, like a mirror to Strange without having a villain be Strange. I mean, it's probably going to be villain is actual Strange, but you've got all these different variants of himself, and it can kind of go the Loki route of like, well, I choose to be this version of me, get out of my way kind of vibes.
Right.
That would be amazing. But then you've also got all these other characters they're talking about. This makes me think there's no cameo that is longer than like them falling through and you just get a glimpse.
Right.
Which
is kind of nice. That's kind of good. Maybe. I don't know. We don't know. But like having that montage of cameos, in my opinion, is a lot better than stopping at each universe and having a conversation with each of those cameos, because then it kind of waters it down. It kind of makes it less special to feel that, you know, if you're dragging it out, you're leaving less time for other stuff. And if it's just a cameo appearance that has no greater impact on the MCU, I mean, we already saw how No Way Home did it with Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. You know, they had a very specific purpose in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to do that twice. At least I don't know. It depends on how much it's really connected to No Way Home. But I like what you said though about No Way Home, because maybe we have Spider-Man No Way Home to thank for this shorter runtime. Maybe they thought that they don't have to spend as much time explaining the rules, going over the exposition of the actual plot, because we learned it all in No Way Home. We understood that there were variants being pulled from other parts of the multiverse. We understood that like there can be multiple versions of one character existing on one timeline, at least temporarily. So they don't have to go through that and explain like, oh, well, this is happening because of this, or this is happening because that guy did that. It could very well just play right off of where No Way Home left off, and Strange is in fact investigating the effects of that spell, which I've thought for a while now. So maybe that's why. Maybe they just cut out some exposition. They're like, you know what? I think we're better off just hitting the ground running, because they're doing that with other things right now, like Moon Knight. It seems to be working pretty well. So I think assuming some knowledge probably plays a role in that. Maybe they were able to trim it down a little bit, but
I like that.
I guess we'll see.
See, I like that a lot, because I instantly was like, all right, they cut a bunch of Sony stuff out, didn't they? Like it genuinely feels like if you're losing 22 minutes and you had a character in there specifically that's like a decent-ish part, 22 minutes of screen time is a lot.
Right. Absolutely.
But if you have a few characters, not just one, and they're spread out over a bunch of cameos, 22 minutes. So we'll get to this a little bit later because of the Morbius of it all. But like, I instantly thought that I was
that's
like,
what they did. They just cut Morbius out of the movie. And
yeah,
shame on you for having Morbius in that movie for 22 minutes. If that's what happened. That movie was hot garbage, but we'll get into that. Next up.
Let's
Next
talk
up on our
list.
list.
Garbage.
Let's talk about Daredevil. That's the opposite of garbage. There we go. Oh, wow. The Devil at Hell's Kitchen. So this one is most interesting. So Daredevil, the series from Netflix that's now on Disney Plus for everyone to view in all its glory. The official Marvel site, this comes from my family at the Direct, written by Sam Hargrave. The official Marvel site may have actually just settled the whole canon debate for Daredevil. Whether is it canon in the MCU or not? Matt Murdock's character page on the Marvel site includes a detailed on-screen full report of the events experienced by Charlie Cox's hero during his time in the Netflix series. But not only does it report details from those 3 seasons on Netflix, it also mentions that Matt was hired as an attorney to defend Peter Parker. And where have we seen that? In the MCU, in Spider-Man No Way Home. So the full excerpt, I'm just going to race through this real quick. Soon after, Matt attended the funeral for Father Lansom, where he made peace with Sister Maggie. Of course, spoiler alert for season 3 of Daredevil if you somehow still haven't viewed it yet. But now, in a better state of mind than he had in quite a while, Matt fully reconciled with Karen and Foggy, and the 3 of them discussed the idea of reforming their law firm, with Karen now as the firm's lead investigator and third partner. Then it continues. Sometime later, Matt was hired as an attorney to defend Peter Parker, as Peter had been publicly outed as Spider-Man and accused of Mysterio's murder. So this is very specific to the events in the MCU that are covered in Far From Home and No Way Home.
Wow.
And it says, though Peter was legally cleared of any wrongdoing, Matt warned him he'd still have to face court of public opinion and advised Happy Hogan to find a good lawyer. So it's very, very specific of the events that happened in No Way Home. So interestingly enough, that has since been taken down. It's not there anymore. So now we're left to discuss, was it real or was it a mistake? Of course, our thoughts are going to be pretty much on the same page here. But Thomas, what do you think about this news? Do you think Daredevil's canon to the MCU, or was that just a mistake?
I didn't know that I didn't know that it was taken out. Like, I didn't know it was deleted.
Yeah, it's gone now. It's not there anymore.
What? Oh my God. Why?
Yeah, so since we found out, since the direct exclusively, no, it wasn't just us, it was everyone. But it's since we noticed it, it's gone now. It's not there anymore.
That is depressing.
And yeah, so as soon as people noticed, they were like, whoa, we got to take that down. So why? I guess this is a better question. Why will they not answer this freaking question?
I feel like answering the question is a spoiler.
So do you think there's more to it narratively on how it will connect to the MCU?
I think so. Like,
interesting.
I don't know. Something just feels, if you're going to add it and then delete it, like, okay, it might be true, but like, obviously it's not true yet. You know,
I like that. Okay.
Like, I'm looking at you, Jamie Foxx. I'm not going to be blue. So
that's a great point. That's right. For this exact same project.
Yeah.
It turned out to be true, but they weren't ready to tell us that yet. So, okay. I like that. I like that train of thought.
So like, maybe it's true, but you know, he gets pulled in. Maybe it's true, but they don't want to reveal that until She-Hulk or Moon Knight or something, you know? You know, by the way, I just realized why my Hawaiian looks familiar. It's Kingpin's Hawaiian. So
I love that. I love it.
I'm the Kingpin now.
No, that's great.
What do you think about this? Because I'm confused.
You know what? I at first my thought was, okay, someone typed that in there thinking that, you know, this was all connected and that they could just run it as one story. And then, you know, once it was published, you know, they didn't think anything of it at the time, but people started taking it as confirmation that it was canon. And that's what prompted them to say, oh, well, no, we just thought you wanted an overview of the character. Because by saying sometime later, putting him in that movie does present the assumption that, oh, this is the same Daredevil, because why else would they use the same actor? Everyone else in the movie was the same actor and they were the same characters. So why wouldn't Matt Murdock? But we never saw Matt Murdock before or after any of the events, so we don't really know how he connects to it, but it was before Strange's spell. So it's not like he was pulled in from another universe. You know, he was in that MCU timeline when Peter needed him. So I mean, and we saw Kingpin too. And, you know, Kingpin, where he's at in Hawkeye, it makes sense, you know, the blip decimated his hold over the underground crime world. And now this is all he's left with is the tracksuit mafia, you know, and he's totally revamped his style. He's hiding out in some old kitchen or whatever he was. But it all makes sense that it's just one narrative and they're just not ready to connect it yet. I just don't know why they're so persistent in like keeping it under wraps. You're right. There's got to be some sort of spoiler in there where like maybe there's something they're going to add to that timeline, because that sometime later, there's still a huge gap of the last time we saw Daredevil compared to now, you know? So there might be something in there that they want to add that they're not ready to tell us yet. Like, where's Karen? Where's Foggy? What's going on? Where's his law firm? You know, it was just Matt Murdock. It didn't mention his law firm at all. So yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you. I think there's something else there that they're just not ready to tell us yet, because they're going out of their way to keep this obscure at this point. You know, they had the confirmation right there on the website and they decided to take that away. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what to make of that, other than that there's some spoilery content that we're not ready to see yet. But speaking of content we're not ready to see yet, Thor 4, more Thor. Thor Love and Thunder. The trailer we're all sitting at the edge of our seats waiting for. The promotional tour for Thor 4, Thor Love and Thunder. is apparently kicking off from a post from Chris Hemsworth on Instagram, saying that he, Taika Waititi, and Tessa Thompson are kicking things off. They are getting ready to go, and we still don't even have a first look at the movie to refer to. So they're promoting this movie blind. They're just going straight off the names that are connected to this project. But yeah, we are now officially in the promotional period for Thor: Love and Thunder, and we are still without a trailer. And that's why we think that we might just get a first look at that movie during the super big NCAA tournament championship game tonight. Thomas, what do you think about that? Why haven't we seen anything from Thor 4 yet?
I don't think we've seen anything from Thor 4 because Thor has now become the upper echelon of Marvel characters. First, it's about goddamn time. Second, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. It's about time. But then Ragnarok, speaking of that joke, comes out and just murks, slays. Everyone loves it. It's a hit. Taika goes on to win a fracking an Oscar for his writing, and he's also writing Thor: Love and Thunder. So, you know, when it comes to marketing, you've also got Christian. This movie has 5 Academy Award winners in it. 3 actors for acting, 1 actor for writing, and Taika, who's an actor and a writer who's won it for writing. He's also the director. So there's a lot going into this when it comes to promotional that you can hit. All you kind of got to do. Oh yeah, by the way, we're gonna have Jane Foster. We will get a trailer. I would love it. I think it'd be bonkers if we never got a trailer and they just dropped Thor 4. Love and
That'd
Thunder.
be wild.
Like, let's go. I would love and thunder that all the way home. But that sounded so much worse out loud than it did in my head. But I definitely think that we're inching close. And the reason I say that is because I don't think they're going to wait till May 6th. That's been my popular theory for a while. That's 11 years since Thor premiered in theaters. That's also the same day Multiverse of Madness premieres. Are they going to go now to where, because we have so much Marvel content that at the end of every movie or on the day a movie releases, we start promo for the next movie. Like, oh, look, we just dropped the Thor: Love and Thunder trailer because you're going to get to watch it in theaters. I don't think they'll do that. That would be like, what, little under 2 months time to promote.
Right.
Whereas right now we are, give or take, like exactly 4 months, right? No, 3 months. We're exactly about 3 months from when the film will arrive. That seems fitting. You know, around 90 days is all you need to promote a film for it to be in theaters for 45 days. So shortening your promotional time because your theatrical window is also shortened is smart, because then as soon as that's done, you got to go into marketing for home releases. I, again, am on the bandwagon. I'm captain of it. I don't want to I'm going to watch every trailer they give me, but I don't need it. I don't even want it. I want them to just pull a J. Cole and drop a film without releasing anything official. But it's a world, it's a pipe dream that'll never happen.
I like that. I like that. It's funny you say that they're kind of being tricky with their promotional stuff and they're not being as conventional about it, because Liam Crowley at the Direct presented a really interesting theory to me. I'm going to try to share my screen here so I can show you, but the picture that Chris Hemsworth shared to announce that this would be kind of the start of their promotional tour. It shows Taika Waititi holding up 2 fingers, and then it shows Chris Hemsworth holding up 4 fingers, and then it shows Tessa Thompson holding up 2 fingers on either side, so also 4. And he told me that this might maybe be the way the rest of the world and not the States format dates on a calendar. So Taika is holding up 1-1 for 11. Thor, Chris Hemsworth is holding up 2 and 2. 2 plus 2 equals 4 for 4, the month of April. And Tessa Thompson is holding up 22 for the year 2022. So they're saying that the trailer would drop on April 11th, 2022. Now, I think that's a stretch. I definitely think that is some serious conspiracy theory shit that I'm not going to lean too far into. But how funny would it be if this is what Marvel's come to when it comes to teasing their trailer dates? I would be a big fan of that being their reveal, because it'd be a week from today. It would be Monday, the 11th. I can't think of any big event that would justify that. But it would be a Monday, and they're known for dropping some pretty big trailers on Mondays. So something to keep in mind. But nevertheless, we move on. What's next on our list? We got...
That is actually... Oh, sorry. I was thinking really hard.
Yeah.
That is just under 3 months. That would put us at, if I'm not mistaken, like 88 days out. 88 is divisible by 4, you know. Also, is it a 4? Is his thumb counted in there? Anyways, back to the plot. From one Chris to another, from Father Kirk to Son Kirk.
Nice. Love it.
What does Chris Pine have to say about Star Trek?
Well, he's essentially saying that it's like Marvel and that it shouldn't be. Chris Pine actually came out in an interview recently and claimed that Star Trek is trying to be like Marvel in the way that they format their films, and that they shouldn't be doing that. Now, he was saying that their overarching plan for the franchise was more or less like Marvel, where they have kind of a written idea that they don't have a script for yet. But he went on to give credit to it, saying that, you know, more or less he's been involved in this franchise for like 15 years, and it cemented the career he has now, and that he's honored to be a part of it, and it's given him so much. So all that was great. But he went on to say that the previous Star Treks they always had this $1 billion mark, because Marvel was making $1 billion at the time, and they want to try to match that. You know, he's saying it was always this $1 billion mark because Marvel was making $1 billion. You know, we struggled because Star Trek, for whatever reason, its core audience is rabid. So to get these people interested, you know, they definitely done a good job, but not the $1 billion kind of job that they wanted. And that's what's causing some sort of tension over there. But he's saying that his idea basically is that Star Trek movies should be made for Star Trek fans. And if other people want to join in, then great, we'll have them. But he seems to be pretty turned off by the idea of just trying to make it like a blockbuster. He doesn't like the idea of trying to just make it this huge film that makes a ton of money. Which I got to say, in today's day and age, I really respect him for saying that, because Marvel cranks out 4 films a year because they all make a ton of money, and they can get that return on it. Not every franchise is going to have that capability. But with Disney bankrolling all of your projects, it gets a little bit easier. But
it does.
Yeah, I mean, he's basically saying Star Trek shouldn't be built around just the money. It should be for the fans. I'd have to agree with that. I think that should be what anything is supposed to be. That's kind of how Marvel started, and now they're just at a point where they can do whatever. And yes, there are instances where it kind of hurts them for that. But I like what he's saying, because he's essentially calling out other studios like Warner Bros. As well, where they're trying to skip all the exposition and all of the introductions and all the character building and get straight to the money making. And it's not always that simple.
I agree. I absolutely love his take on it, you know, and he even talks about, you know, that there is no tangible script to look at when it comes to his new Star Trek film. And I completely agree that that's what it should matter. It should be about, okay, this is our fans. Let's make this for our fans. And not everybody does that. And it's okay. It be like that sometimes, as the kids say. But I think that their approach to now going to Paramount Plus and making shows is kind of like the core of Star Trek anyways. So Star Wars went from film to TV. Star Trek went from TV to film, and the difference is that, you know, you feel like you're still watching some of the films when you're watching the TV for Star Wars, whereas sometimes the films are good for Star Trek and sometimes they're really not. And they feel tonally different. But again, it's across different generations and ages. But Star Wars has like this internal universe feel, and it's across TV and movies. And I feel like Star Trek just isn't that way.
Mhm.
And they want the movies to make all this money, but really their fans would rather just watch it on TV, I think.
Right.
So
I think that's great. Is the fan base just wants something else?
yes. Man, talk about wanting something else. Let's take a quick break, and we'll come back and we'll let JRB talk real deep about Morbius for like 15 minutes, and maybe
we'll give
get
it
a full
5
trailer.
minutes. That's all it deserves.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back. A small town coroner has to team up with her ex-fiance to save her town from a swarm of mutant honeybees. There's action, drama, humor, maybe even a flamethrower or two. There's definitely a ton of bad bee puns and a very unlikely Hawaiian-wearing hero. This classic sci-fi feature cheese fest, written and directed by Alicia Marie and starring local talent from the Emerald Coast, invites you to join our journey from conception to reception by visiting Linktr.com/zombies the movie, ZOMBEEZ the movie, to keep up with all the buzz and donate to GoFundMe. Again, Linktree.com/zombies the movie.
We are a touring acoustic duo crashing kitchens around the country. We go from house to house every Friday night, and we create music, we create food, a good time, we stream it live, and we do it for free. So now we're just really kind of like trying to develop it and build a community group that people believe in, then they'll help us. So we played from our rehearsal room, we played from the bathroom, thankfully that didn't catch on.
I probably played guitar in my room, not for anyone, in front of anyone, nobody heard, for probably about 10 years.
And then one Friday night, we played from the kitchen. It's the main place people want to be. It's where the food is, it's where the drink is, it's where the best lighting is. You can go to any party and I guarantee you, the kitchen is going to be popping.
Our ultimate goal, I think, would be to crash kitchens every Friday all around the world.
I have not seen Morbius because I would like to keep what little soul I have left. But JRB has. He's done the hard work, the work no one wants to do.
Yes.
I did want to see Morbius, and then they gave me all the spoilers, and I went, it doesn't even sound good. All right, that's fine. They sold me on not going. If they had just not talked about that, I would have been suckered in. JRB,
yeah, man.
I'll let you review the movie, and then I will give what little thoughts I should be allowed to say, having not seen said movie. Okay,
well, in a nutshell, it's horseshit. Let's move on. Okay. No, really though. I and those of you who follow me on Twitter will know this. I was very excited for this movie. They definitely knew how to make a trailer for this movie, I would say. Although it didn't really reveal a lot about how more than the first act of the plot. It really just gave you the introduction to the story of what you'd be seeing and what you'd see unfold. Man, this movie was such a letdown. The one thing I'll give it, and I'll give it up front so that way you guys can hear me say something positive to start it out, is that the visuals in this movie were incredible. There were a couple CG issues with the Morbius-ish look that they gave Jared Leto. It was kind of all over the place. Sometimes his eyes were red. Other times they were that weird kind of cat-like bat-looking. I don't know what they were trying to do. It looked kind of like Venom, honestly. But yeah, I didn't realize how much they were really going to take out of this film. The trailers, the trailers were like a different movie almost. Specifically with Tyrese's character and his bionic arm. Spoiler alert. They just never talked about it. He wore a jacket the whole time, and he had 2 normal arms, so that was it.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's right. You heard me. Remember how he was shown in every trailer with a bionic arm that was he even teased in an interview that was going to do some crazy stuff?
And there
they
was
didn't
a
have
set
that.
photo.
I know there was. There was a shot in the trailer, and they decided to remove all of that. And instead, Tyrese, I'm calling him Tyrese because I can't even remember his real name in the movie, wore just a leather jacket the whole time. But basically, those cops, FBI agents, if that's what you can even call them, they seemed far less competent than FBI. They were just in the whole movie, just kind of going from place to place, following Morbius a few minutes after and going, man, he sure is killing a lot of people. And that was pretty much all the only purpose they served in the movie. There were a lot of inconsistencies with how the Morbius serum, if that's what you want to call it, Morbius syndrome, maybe, his vampireness. There were a lot of inconsistencies of when it took effect and how it took effect and why it took effect. There were moments where he was locked up in jail, where he was definitely locked up for more than 6 hours. But the whole premise of the movie was that he couldn't go more than 6 hours without feeding on artificial blood, or he would turn back into Morbius and then crave human blood. There was a moment in the movie where the main girl in the film, Martine, cut her finger, and there was a little drop of blood that fell on the floor, and it went. And he immediately went like, you better cover that cut up or I'm going to freak out and suck your blood. And she was like 30 feet away from him. And then literally the very next scene, he's holding a guy who's dying, just gushing blood from so many. He's cut up and lacerated and bleeding everywhere. And there's not even the smallest sign of Morbius being Morbius. Like there's no traces of a vampire in that scene. And then the very next scene when Martine is bleeding again, he can't control himself and he's back to Morbius again. So it just,
oh man,
the story alone was so loosely tied together, and you could tell this movie had been reformatted and rewritten and reshot a few different times. And David Thompson, one of the producers of our show, hey David Thompson, he said, ha ha ha, Thomas's reaction, wait, what? When I said that Tyrese's bionic arm wasn't even in the movie. Thomas, I don't know if you heard, but Michael Keaton wasn't in the movie either.
I did hear that.
He was only in a post-credit scene.
I heard he was in a post-credit scene. I have seen the post-credit scene.
It wasn't even the scene that they marketed in literally every trip. They went as far as to have Michael Keaton narrate one of their trailers for this movie, and it was only a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And they downgraded his involvement in this project to not one but 2 post-credit scenes. How are you going to have 2 separate post-credit scenes about a character that didn't show up once in the movie? Huh?
Wait, he's the subject of 2 post-credit scenes?
Yeah, that's right, both of them. Yeah, so Morbius is about one thing, and then Morbius's post-credit scenes are about another thing. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah, that's
Why?
So this movie, the marketing could not have missed the mark any further than it did. It sold me because I was excited, but I cannot believe I fell for Sony's schemes again. And I say again because they gave us not 1 but 2 Venom movies that are just the worst.
I gotta be honest, I fucking hated the first Venom movie when it came out. Like, the first post-credit scene is just Vulture.
He's the only character in the first post-credit scene. It doesn't even show anyone else.
That's impressive. I have seen the second post-credit scene where he lands and it doesn't make any sense, and it's totally the same suit, but it's not the same suit, Mr. Director. Listen.
Yep.
I don't want to talk about that. Anyways, I hated the first Venom movie. All right. But I was like, you know what? There's still some room for good. And I'd rewatched Venom. David and I rewatched Venom before Venom 2 came out. And I was really excited because I love Carnage. And then they did my boy Carnage wrong. And I was like, what? Like, this is not at all what this movie looked like it was going to be.
Right.
So I should have expected that with Morbius, but as soon as the director came out and started talking about all these spoilers in the post-credit scene, I'm like, oh, it's the Let There Be Carnage Sony marketing train. No, thank you. I'm officially boycotting the Sony Spider-Man universe until they make a good movie. Not great, not grand, not wonderful, not exquisite, not Oscar-worthy. Fucking good. That's all I want.
Hey, you've got me. I'm on that train now. After seeing that movie, you know what? I even told myself, man, I never do this, but maybe just this one time I won't fork over the money for an IMAX ticket. I'm just going to go to my childhood theater that's a lot cheaper. Cinemark is always cheaper around here. I went to a Cinemark theater, paid $7 for a ticket, and I'm really mad I didn't instead spend that money on a couple cheesy gordita crunches, because I feel like my time and my funds have been wasted, and there's no getting that back. But yeah, I'm with you. I will not be seeing another Sony in association with Marvel movie. That's just it's not in the cards for me anymore. You've tried. I gave you another chance even after whatever you're doing with Venom, and yeah, I've never been more disappointed. So that's all I got to say. It's just the worst.
However, that being said, I will definitely work in one of these films because I want to know what goes on behind the scenes in something like this. Whether it's
hire me, but I won't watch it.
whether it's a PA. Hey, listen, I don't have to watch the things that I make. I don't even like watching myself act. So like, it's perfect. Hire me as an actor. I won't be able to stomach watching myself. It's gonna be wicked weird. Honestly, dude, like I'm so worried for Kraven and Aaron. The only thing that gives me like a smudgeon of hope is like Aaron Taylor Johnson has major, from what I understand, trust issues in terms of filmmaking. He's had that's like what I've heard in terms of his selection of what he wants to do. He wants to work with the right people for the right story. He's very picky. Picky was the word. Picky. Wow, that took me forever to get there. Kids, words are hard. Give me numbers any day of the week. But he's very picky. So I'm hopeful that like his pickiness and his precision of like trying to pick stuff will make Kraven a better movie. David says, I'll put a hoodie on and hoodie and cap on to go see Kraven.
Yeah, that's I might agree. It really depends on what they're. I can't even say that because I was just gonna say it depends on what they're promising in the trailer. We can't even bank on that anymore.
We can't trust you, Sony. And honestly, that's sad.
Over.
That makes me
it's
sad.
Over, man. It's over.
It's over, man. It's over.
You know what? It's funny. Kleinfeld, we've name dropped him a couple times now. Tweeted out that if you told me that the post-credit scene for Morbius was written by an AI, I would totally believe you. And my fiance actually replied saying, I believe you if it was a whole movie. I got to say, I agree with that. That writing, acting, directing, it was all bad. Like it was all around just a horrible time. And I don't know if I've ever said that about a movie. And it was horrible. It was just so bad. But that is Sony. Luckily, we also have Marvel Studios, who is much better at this kind of stuff. Speaking of much better, we got to see the first episode of Moon Knight last week.
For a second, I thought you were going to be like, they dropped the Thor trailer. And I was going to be
like, that game's just getting started now, so we might not see that before the end of the night. But Moon Knight. We got to see the first episode of Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight in action, which interestingly enough wasn't even the first character we got to meet in that series. David Thompson chiming in saying Sony should be called Sovi, quote, false advertising pictures. Yeah, I got to agree with that. I just can't believe how dishonest they were about that movie. And it deserves only making the 30 mil that it made. I say it deserves less. But on to better things. Moon Knight. Thomas, first reaction, spoiler filled. Give me a quick summary of what you thought about that first episode.
I thought this episode was bonkers, man. I had so much more fun in it than I thought I would. It, despite, you know, going in, I kind of knew just enough about Mark Spector to be like, all right, I kind of get what I'm doing, and I'm gonna meet this guy, and like we'll see what happens. And oh, like they're introducing us to, as Khonshu would say, the worm. Oh, the idiot, you know, like the fool. Really, he's the fool personality, and I'll get into this later as to why I think he's very important to the integrity of the personalities that are there. But it's very important that we spend it with that character, so that we feel empathy for somebody who may or may not be a really good guy. You know, the person who is the one in the costume, the personality inside the costume, may not be a great person. But to have an anti-hero, you have to have a little bit of likability. And so I think that having the fool is brilliant. And it's brilliant how they start off with him. They call it the goldfish theory, or the goldfish problem, which is a beautiful double entendre of the fact that the goldfish starts out as an emo and has two fins, and he loses his freaking mind with what the fish. And then also he has the memory of a goldfish in this, you know. And there's a line that's like, you know, oh, the fish ain't right, the time's not right, the fish is wrong, the time is wrong, you're not quite right, are you? And there are just subtle little lines going all the way through here. There's one from a little girl. I'm gonna just say it now. I'm gonna say it now because I'm so excited. She says, "Did it suck for you when you were denied from the field of reeds?" And he's like, "That doesn't make sense now, does it? I'm not dead, am I?" And then, you know, Stevie, and it pulls it off, and that is the weirdest sentence ever. So it obviously means something. And I've heard through the grapevine, I've heard from Phase Zero, let's be real, that, you know, after 4 episodes, you go back and just watch episode 1 and you go, oh wow, there's so much more in here than you initially think. That line is crazy. That line is super crazy. Is that little girl a god? We're not going to dive that deep. I love this episode. The way they set up Arthur Harrow is very intriguing, and his relationship with Amit. And then we get Grant, we get a little bit of Mark Spector, we get a little bit of Moon Knight, we get a little bit of Khonshu, we get a little bit of all the personalities we've been promised. We might even get glimpses of a couple others, or maybe not so much glimpses, but just missing time that are the others. We shall see. I'm kind of leaning towards only 3 personalities at this moment, at least 3 known that we'll get told about. But it ends with, you know, you could have predicted this episode, you know, if you're like, oh, it's about this version of this personality. It's about the Stephen Grant personality. You go, okay, yeah, duh. It'll probably be this. And it's a fun jaunt. The cinematography is peak. It is what tells, I mean, it's my favorite thing of this episode. And I've watched it a couple times now just to go back and dive in. It is definitely my favorite part every time. And I'll probably dive in a little bit later once we've discussed some stuff more in depth. But JRB, what did you think about the Moon Knight and the Goldfish Problem?
Oh, I really loved it. I gotta say, like, I know I say this every time a Marvel show drops that I love it, but this one really felt cinematic. I think this is the first Marvel series that really feels like it could have been shown on the big screen without too much of a disconnect there. Yeah, Moon Knight, man. I love that this whole episode we were just thrown into the confusion of it, and they were like, "Hey, figure it out." You know, I know I talked about this whether it was last week or the week prior, but the Batman, you know, it took advantage of people being familiar with the story. You know, they're like, fine. You know Batman's story. We're just going to drop you right in the middle of this, and you can pick up the pieces along the way. But you know the basics. We're going to get started. We're not going to waste any time with exposition. This was like the same approach, but like the opposite reason. You know, Marvel is taking advantage of the fact that audiences don't know Moon Knight, that they've never really met this character in this type of medium, and so they don't. The casual viewer doesn't know the first thing about this guy. And they're like, all right, let's lean into that. Let's really make it mysterious. We're not going to explain anything. You're going to meet Steven, and he's going to deal with some stuff that he's not going to understand. and you're not going to understand it either. I really like that approach. I like that we're along for this ride where, like you said, when we go back and rewatch this later, we'll realize how much was right in front of us that we weren't picking up on because we just didn't have that sort of discernment yet. But yeah, I'm really loving where this is going. I love how it's shot. I think it has some of the most unique camera work in any show. And fear, man, the idea of fear is a real factor in this series. You know, we've seen elements of fear play a role in previous projects like WandaVision or Loki, but like this is like the real stuff. You know, we're diving into some territory that to the human mind is just virtually unexplored. And dealing with the fear of the unknown, I think will be really, really fun to kind of follow along these next few weeks.
Yeah, you are way more eloquent than me. I just rambled. But like this show and what they do with mental health has been very intriguing. It's very fun to watch. And I didn't think I'd say that about them. You know, like Jessica Jones, not fun to watch. Great story, great payoff, but it made me want to rip my skin off. Like the whole series. I don't like shows like that.
It was also very long. This one is only 6 episodes.
It's very, very true. I don't know if this is going to make me want to rip my skin off. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. That jackal was crazy, man.
Yeah, that was wild.
You mentioned we don't start with the main character. We start with the villain, quote unquote. And that's Arthur Harrow, played by none other than Ethan Hawke. He looks like a vampire all the time. It's weird.
Probably
his opening scene, dude, is just crushing glass, putting it in his shoes, and then just walking. And we see, the Gator's cane that we later, and then we later find out he's the avatar for Amit, right? That's kind of the whole story of him. And the gist. He later comes up and meets, Stephen Grant, and there's a lot of good scenes with him. We first meet him here. So then I think that was done for the audience. Like, this guy exists. It's not a figment of Stephen's imagination.
Right.
So that when he shows up in that, and this is where the cinematography gets you, they focus on the goldfish right at the beginning so that when he shows up with 2 fins later on, then you get close-ups of the sand and the blue tape on the door, so you understand his OCD, like how he sticks with it. It's like, okay, this is very important for him. Then you get a close-up vignette effect whenever the personality shift starts to happen, and it's followed by an immediate jump cut when Stephen Grant wakes up. And it is scary. It's and you can understand why, as they say in the trailer, I can't tell the difference between my waking life and my dreams, because that's how dreams work right there. Like, bam, bam, bam. Things happen. Wait, I don't know how things changed around. Oh, okay, bam. Oh, whoa, what's going on? And, he's like, oh, it's just a dream. It's just a dream. It's just a dream. And he wakes up and he's just like elated that he's not dead. But we as the audience know in that moment something is going on there. Well, this use of the camera angles in utilizing all of that and how they jump to that island and Arthur Harrow shows up, we as the audience know, oh, this is real, so that it's not ambiguous. And you also see like a different side of him in a way. Like, he's not there just in pain. Like, you kind of like, oh, that guy's probably standing on glass right now. Like, that's insane. But then you see how he's the avatar for Amit, right? And I got a theory that those scales are fucking lying, man. Like, I don't trust Amit. I don't trust the scales. I don't trust the guy who walks around in glass. Okay. I think that the quote unquote good are the loyal followers of Amit, willing to do, and I mean anything when I say anything, so that the scales balance and it's green, right? Like, green.
Green means
they're
go.
good to join us. And the quote unquote bad ones are the ones that would resist and therefore must lose their life energy to feed Amit's ascension, aka that's why they are, oh, nope, they're not gonna fit in. Axe them. He says that she's only the boogeyman for bad people. And it's like, I mean, but like, is she though? Like, I'm not trusting you, Ethan Hawke, vampire guy.
Right.
So that's where I think that's going, and it's very fun how that Gators cane kind of lines up with Later's Gators that we hear a lot from Stephen Grant.
Oh, interesting.
I find it weird, you know. And another thing that's kind of got me confused is I thought Amit's avatar was was a gator. Like her symbol was the gator, right? Why does a jackal come out and attack? Try to attack Stephen Grant. Like, I'm intrigued by that. Like, why was it a jackal? Why does it look like Anubis more so than anything else? Was it a werewolf? I really hope so. It was a werewolf. You know, is this thing a werewolf? What, you think that thing's a dog, man?
I think it definitely could be. Yeah, I don't know. It did look a lot like a jackal. You're right. But leaving that possibility open for a jackal in the MCU being some sort of hybrid werewolf or something like that, or I mean, they like we said, this is very untapped territory. You know, they could pretty much craft it however they want.
Yeah.
I like that theory you have about Ethan Hawke's character not really being who he says he is. I think that you're definitely onto something there. I think that people are blindly following him when really they should be digging into him a little deeper to see what his true motives are. And I really like how you mentioned the walking on glass part, because you're right. If we hadn't met him in that opening scene, we could be questioning right now, very reasonably, is that even a real person, you know, or is it just a figment of his imagination or in his dreams? Mm-hmm. Because we have very little confirmation of how much he actually witnessed and experienced wherever he was. And some people are saying that might be the MCU's Latveria, where Dr. Doom might be sitting. I think that's a stretch, but I also wouldn't totally rule it out, because there were some teases in there that could point to Victor Von Doom. But yeah. I think it's a stretch. But back to the more important matter at hand, Ethan Hawke's up to something, and we don't have a clue what it is. But he knows that Oscar Isaac is going to be standing in his way, and it very conveniently did not show the scales when he held Oscar Isaac's hands and said and tried basically to see, you know, what does Amit? Forgive me for butchering this pronunciation. Amit. What does Amit say? Are you worthy of living, or should I kill you right now? Which we saw a couple times. But yeah, man, Oscar Isaac is going to pose some sort of problem, and maybe it is the fact that he has Khonshu, you know, that has his back. But we'll see. Yeah, we will see. But man, that Moon Knight reveal right at the end,
dude, that was and it's crazy because the suit looked better like there than any other time, and it's like it shouldn't look any different, but it did. It did. It was very nice. I've seen like up close photos from their like premiere and how they have like hieroglyphics inside the cape, dude. Oh my god, that is amazing. I love how when he started transforming, you know, and he's like, Steven, listen to me, Steven, let me save us.
Yes.
And it's like, okay, and he starts to give in, and like the hieroglyphics all around him just show up, and it just starts etching it in there. And the very next thing we see is the jackal trying to claw his way out, only to get drugged back in and beaten to death. And it's like it's like yelping. And I didn't notice it at first. I'm like, yeah, take that. And the more I listen to it, I'm like, I'm worried.
Right, like that wasn't like you heard it. Like he did not hold back, and John Campea made a great kind of comparison as to what Moon Knight is, and he's the monster's monster. He's the boogeyman's boogeyman. He's the guy who comes after the guy that everyone's afraid of, and that he's the defender of those who travel at night. And it lines up with the comics very well, where even the biggest threats, the scariest monsters, everything in between, are afraid of this guy. And you saw how quickly the tone shifted. he probably only got a couple punches in before that jackal tried to bolt out of that bathroom. You know, there were only a few seconds that passed, but you saw how quickly the tone shifted. That jackal entered the room. As soon as he realized it was Moon Knight, he's like, shit, I am out of here. And Moon Knight said, no. You're coming right back so I can beat the crap out of you. And, and you saw how easily he handled it too. So like this is truly a new era of Marvel where we're seeing supernatural effects that we've never seen anything close to. And Moon Knight is handling it like it's nothing. So I'm really excited to see the fear that Moon Knight invokes on his victims because the monster's monster. I love that comparison. He's the one that the boogeyman is afraid of. I can't wait to see how that plays out further.
Yeah, especially since, Amit's the boogeyman, right?
Right.
She's the bogeyman. So it's like, ooh, they're like just throwing it right there together. I love that a lot.
Yeah.
When it comes to, we'll get to the future, but I've heard that the next episode starts with Moon Knight.
Oh,
and I'm
really?
I'm instantly getting a sense that we're going to start with that fight, but we're going to see it all. Okay. We're not going to see, it's not going to be hidden from us. It's not like Stephen Grant. Now we are Mark Spector. I wonder if we get a backstory on Mark Spector. Like, I really feel like we're in it now. Like, now we've met Stephen Grant. Now we're going to meet Mark Spector, and he's going to be the one that's basically Moon Knight. And then eventually we'll learn about Khonshu. But when it comes to Stephen Grant, I feel weird. I feel so weird. He talks to a guy, which, by the way, the gold guy, did you know that's a human? You notice that was a human that was painted?
Yes.
I thought it was a statue until the last time I watched it. I was like, is he moving? He's breathing. He's a real guy. I thought he was just like, yeah, leave the tip. Cheers. Oh, cheers.
Leaving tips for a statue.
For a statue. I was like, yo, is he stealing the statue's tips? That's messed up.
Yeah.
Dude, totally caught me off guard. But he ends up finding out he had a date, right?
Yeah.
And he doesn't remember how he got a date. Was that Mark Spector or was that another personality?
It does seem out of line for Mark Spector to do something like that. So I totally get where you're coming from there. It'd be weird if they're already planting seeds for a third personality, but they have to sometime, right?
Yeah. Maybe it was Khonshu just trying to. Anyways,
take Mark Spector a little.
Wet his whistle. Wet his whistle was the phrase I was going with, which sounds so much worse now that I say it aloud. But Stephen Grant likes to call his mom with a regular update, ending every one of them with "Ladies Gators." Again, intriguing because of the iconography. Stephen Grant also, he loves and is knowledgeable at Egyptian mythology and history. He is the worm in the eyes of Khonshu, also the idiot, also the fool. We'll get to my theory in a second because I know you got a big fat question that I also got. Is the mom real?
Yeah, that's a huge one because every time we heard Stephen, every time we heard Stephen call his mom, he was leaving a voicemail and he kept saying, I'll try to get you next time. Now, obviously, I'm sure their schedules don't sync up that well if he's missing a couple days out of the calendar every week. But you think your mom would answer the phone at least once in a while. Is he calling her because she's no longer with us and he doesn't want to come to terms with that? Is she real at all? Is like, why haven't we heard back from this mom yet? We didn't hear him listening to any voicemails back from her. He just keeps calling her. So what's going on?
Yeah, man, that's amazing. Like, I do wonder about that. I've been trying to figure out that. I got nothing on the mom situation. I just question, like, okay, I did have a theory, right, that perhaps it is him kind of updating the others on what he's doing when he's in control. So like if he calls every day, like if he calls mom every day and then, Mark Spector has a hidden phone that's mom's phone, he can just listen to it oh, okay, like he did all these things. Cool, 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 cool. All right, cool. All right. It sounds like nobody's onto him. He sounds safe. Great. I'm gonna go do unsafe stuff now.
Interesting.
That's kind of the vibe that I'm getting right off the bat because it's plural Latus Gatus, and he's dealing with Khonshu and Mark Spector, and they're all fighting for control. And it's clear that Steven is gaining control, and it definitely seems like Fear's winning out, which I think is why he's gaining control. Like, there's the human side of Mark Spector is kind of struggling, if you will.
Yeah, and it seems like that human side is only in Steven. Like the few shots we've seen of Mark, it's like his humanity has been entirely split apart, and it's just all living in Steven now. And then the rest of Khonshu's living in Mark, and that's why Mark is so cold cut, is so cold blooded, and just by the book straight away. He's like, "Let me save us." Why does Mark have such great control over Khonshu and Steven has virtually nothing? What if it's because Khonshu's completely overtaken that side of him and there's no room left for that humanity, and so it's all left on Steven?
Wow.
I don't know. That's crazy. That's really crazy.
I love that because my theory is that Mark Spector split his empathy and left all good and unassuming traits in Steven Grant, who then became strong enough to kind of take control of the body out of Fear, but he doesn't know what the other personalities know. And then Mark makes sure that, if you look at it, Mark makes sure that Steven gets home safe. He keeps up appearances, hence the goldfish having two fins, because, poor Gus died from, I'm guessing, starving for 2 days.
Right. Yeah. Or eating chocolate.
You're eating chocolate. And oh my God. Yeah. But I think that Mark split his empathy as a way to I think you have to remain some amount of your soul. And I think that's just what's left of his true soul.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
But what's left of his soul is taking over his body, which is kind of why Steven Grant's kind of like a child in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And I really do feel like, Khonshu's like, oh, the idiot's involved. Like, the part, but maybe we find out a little bit later on that no, like, yeah, I have this personality disorder. Yes, you've taken over my body at different times, but I took control this way. And then Khonshu came in and boop. It's very intriguing. What were you gonna say?
No, I think I think I'm hopping on this 100% because we saw the way Moon Knight beat the literal life out of that jackal. That's not something Steven's capable of. What if it is that humanity splitting apart from this personality where Mark said, I'm literally not able to do this job as Moon Knight if I still have my humanity, my morality, I have to find a way to get past this. And they literally just created it, whether or not Steven was already an existing alternate personality or if they created it as a remedy for that. I think Steven could be a direct result of Moon Knight having to choose, like, I have to do this, but I can't do this if I'm this. So I have to find a way to overcome my own reservations. And he did that by just dumping it all on Steven. I really like that idea. That would add a really unique layer to this show and to Marvel as a whole. That would definitely make the character more tragic because there's this whole other person just living with all of this baggage that he can't even explain. And wow, yeah, that would be huge. I'd be a big fan of that.
And when, if I'm remembering right, he finds the phone and then he starts like losing it a little bit. And then everything starts falling down. He sees himself in the mirror. Mark starts talking to him and he says, Steven, stop looking. Like, stop it. You're not supposed to be doing this. You are the fool. You are the face. You are the patsy. But not so much the patsy. In your analogy, he's still the patsy. He's taking the brunt of the emotions.
Right.
And all the guilt and the exhaustion and the fear,
Right. His life is just a mess.
His life is a mess. And the security guard calls him Scotty. I have a small theory that maybe Mark Spector made this happen or whomever made this happen. So that way, it just kind of makes Steven even more unassuming. Like, oh, no, my name's Scotty. Just call me Scotty. I know my name says Steven, but like, call me Scotty. No, call me Stevie. Call me Steve. Yeah. Oh, yeah, we'll go on a dinner. We'll go on a date. Oh, no, he stood me up on a date. Like, he's nothing special. He's kind of a loser. Like, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant ploy. Right. And, he loses 2 days, and Mark was in control for 2 days. And the lady says, as I told you yesterday when you were here, all the fish have 2 fins. I wasn't here yesterday. Like all that. Clearly, there's someone is doing stuff.
That's huge, actually, because if she told him the day prior that all the fish had 2 fins, that means he asked, do you have any fish with 1 fin? As if he was trying to replace that fish with 1 fin. Exactly. That's crazy. That's crazy. Wow.
The goldfish problem. That's why I'm thinking, like keeping up appearances and buying that goldfish. Yeah. He straight up was like, I got to make sure that Steven like keeps going and living this normal, boring life and doesn't get sucked into my stuff. And now he's sucked into the stuff. And
someone's trying to maintain that life of Steven so that there's no questions. That's big. That's really big. Okay. Yeah, no, you're right. Mark definitely knows more than Steven does. And we saw that by Mark saying like, don't read that. Don't do that. So Mark has a hold over Steven. We just have to figure out why. That's
exactly big. Why. And I got 2 theories here. One's a time theory, and it could be part of our why. Layla has been looking for Mark for months. Is this how long he's been Moon Knight now? Is just months? Is it, year 1 or more well established that he's been doing this back and forth? But I think we'll find out this next week. We will get a backstory on Mark. I think that's what our episode 2 is.
I don't think he lives in London though.
I don't think he lives in London.
Because Layla didn't sound like she was from London, that's for sure.
No, she did not.
Yeah, wow. He probably just created this whole life for Steven and just dropped him in the middle of London. He's like, here, you live here, we do this, and you just follow these rules and you live this life. Wow. Exactly. Huge.
Talk about, like feeding him information and like, boundaries, if you will. I've also wondered if Laters Gators is a phrase fed to him by Khonshu referring to eliminating Amit and Harrow.
Oh, wow. That's a big one. What makes you explain your reasoning behind that? Let's dive into that a little more.
There's something about Laters Gators. And I don't know, I've got a few of them, like, is it just coincidence that it's Laters Gators and it's, he's going up with Amit and Harrow. Is that coincidence or is that meant to mean something? Saying Laters Gators could also mean that he's talking to his other personalities and, keeping up appearances and reporting in, like I said. So I'm really questioning the what ifs of what Laters Gators could mean. But at the end of the day, if they did make this personality and he's supposed to go take out Amit and Harrow, I could totally see this god feeding the worm, Laters Gators, as like a subconscious idea, like his subconscious. Mark Spector is Laters Gators.
It might not even be intentional. I love that. Yeah, because like you see his obsession with Egyptian mythology. Is that intentional? Like, does he truly have an interest in that, or is that an overflow of Khonshu's overwhelming presence in his brain, where he's just obsessed with learning more about this because he can't understand his obsession with it? Oh wow, I love that. Oh wow, yeah, we're just getting started.
Oh yeah, man. This show could be bonkers, man. Like what I thought Loki was going to be, it was, right? And it got a little bit more than I expected. And I was like, wow, it's like bonkers. And really fast, when it comes to binge watching shows, don't ever binge watch Loki. It hurts. It's so much information.
There's too much input.
It is too much. And as someone who loves everything in it, by episode 5, I was like, I don't even care about the variants. I just want to get to Kang. I'm so tired. My brain hurts. I sat there for 6 straight hours in a single day and binged it before a podcast recording. Don't recommend ever binge watching.
It's not meant to be viewed that way.
No, there are
why they do
some
it.
that are meant to, like, WandaVision you can binge fast and it doesn't feel long. Falcon and Winter Soldier you can binge, but there are specific places where you're like, oh, I should stop here and let it simmer. But
Right.
yeah, this episode feels like a single one-off, right? And I'm really excited to see where this series goes. I've heard a lot of great stuff, like, oh, the end of episode 4 is like, I see why they gave us this and blah. And you and I don't have any kind of credentials, so I'm going in live with the rest of everybody. I got people who have seen the first few episodes. I know people who've seen just the first one, and I know, just like you and I, we've seen nothing. So it's going to be a lot of fun going in and seeing how things settle in. Because as you can tell, the more time I've had to sit with it, the more theories that I get.
Yeah.
And when it comes to Star Wars, my theories are often very wrong, and I'm okay with that. When it's Marvel, I enjoy it more when my theories are right, because I don't know as much. So that means I can change something without being held to what I'm emotionally attached to. So it makes it easier to come up with theories in Marvel just by following their storytelling, which is kind of why I didn't want to research too much about Moon Knight. I just want to know the gist, the basics, because that's all I knew about Doctor Strange. And I happened to fall in love with Doctor Strange and started reading Doctor Strange comics. Like, that's what this is about, you know? And I got into it from comics. I was a fan of the comics, but it was really more of a fan of the animated series of Spider-Man. And then the movies started happening, and this is why I'm boycotting Sony movies, because I've seen enough bad superhero movies to literally make me not give a damn. Okay. And the fact that we have Marvel Studios, and like, I was so worried, like Iron Man, I was like, cool, Iron Man. I'm like, oh, Incredible Hulk. Oh, they're in the same universe. Well, that's different. Okay. Are they like trying to build like the comics? Like, that would be amazing. Like, please do that. Iron Man 2 comes out. Oh, they are building the comics. They're leading to the Avengers. Let's see what happens. Maybe they won't suck. And they just keep getting better. Right? Like, so Moon Knight, now they're at TV, and this is the best episode 1, in my opinion. It feels like issue 1 of a comic book.
Yeah.
There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And you can,
it leaves you wanting more.
And it leaves you wanting more. And you're left with more questions leaving than you had going in.
Right.
Which is amazing, especially because we've now earned the trust of Marvel Studios to be like, especially after Hawkeye. It's like, you know what? They found their groove with Hawkeye. Like, that felt like a television series.
Yes.
This feels like a limited series already.
Yes.
And I think that's what they're pitching it as.
I love that. Absolutely. Hawkeye was definitely made for television. This could have gone either way. And I'm glad that it didn't. I'm glad that it made its way to Disney Plus, because that gives us the time we need to fully expose and fully dive into this character and all of its intricacies, as well as the antagonist and any other key role. I think it would have been doing Moon Knight a disservice if they would have tried to cram this into 2 hours on film.
Oh, yeah.
But 6-hour limited series, Hawkeye, made for television, and that would not have done well as a movie. Moon Knight, they could have released as a feature film, and with the same sort of format, I think could have been almost just as successful. So, the storytelling they're doing is top notch. Like you said, it just keeps getting better and better. And now we're at a place where we just have these expectations, you know, and I can't remember the last time they weren't met, at least minimally. We're just in such a good sweet spot right now with Marvel Studios. So, if Sony can get their act together, if DC can figure out what the hell they want to do, which seems like they are, you know, Peacemaker was although I wasn't really into it, Peacemaker seemed to be a step in the right direction towards at least some sort of cohesiveness. So I don't know. I think Marvel is just so far ahead of the game, and they just keep releasing so many good things. But Moon Knight is just another heavy hitter right off the bat with episode 1. I don't think there's been an episode 1 that good since WandaVision, and I think it might even top that.
Wow. Okay. Unexpected. I would not give,
but earned.
I would. Okay. I see why you make that connection, though. I see it, because there's a mystery.
They're
leaving You're leaving with more questions going out than you had coming in.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I see that. I would have to say my favorite first single one episode by itself.
Loki.
It is between Loki and Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Wow, really?
I
Holy
feel like
cow.
the Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 1 sets up that series great. It tells you that it's about Sam Wilson coming to grips with life, right? And coming to grips with being Captain America. And it ends with he's like, you know, he literally says nobody should take the shield. It shouldn't be anybody. And like, and he doesn't dive into it in this episode, but you can tell he's got reservations for his own reasons, right? And it might be hinted at with that scene with James Rhodes, but
yeah,
it ends and you instantly see him go,
shit.
Like, shit. I gave it away, and they literally did the one thing I begged they wouldn't do. They gave it to just some guy. And it goes downhill from there. We don't even get Bucky in that episode. But it's not
Very
the
minimal,
story.
yeah.
The story is about Sam Wilson, and that's kind of why it's there. And then episode 1 of Loki is that's when we get the memories, right? And he finds out in the first episode that he basically has died thousands of times over,
Right.
and he's just a pawn meant to make everybody else feel good. And we get in one episode the entire run of Loki's personality, all the way up to your savior has arrived and the sun will shine on us again, brother. And he's dead. And then he realizes, like, all this for nothing. Is this the greatest power in the universe? Definitely between those two. But Moon Knight takes it because I assume that when the season ends, we come back and watch Moon Knight episode 1 again. It's going to have so many more layers that, like, we're looking at things now, but what is it that we've missed? I again want to come back to that one line before we wrap up our thoughts on what we think might happen. That did it suck for you when you were denied from the field of reeds? Oh, it doesn't make sense now, does it? I'm not dead, am I? Like that means something. I don't know what.
Yeah, man.
But
we still have a long way to go. We've only seen a little less than 20% of this show so far. Yeah. There's still a long way to go, man. And I'm here for it. I'm strapped in. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to rock.
What are you hoping to get in episode 2? What is a prediction you also want to drop for episode 2 right now?
Interesting. Good question. So one thing that I'll give you something that I'm half hoping for, because I can see how it would actually do a disservice to this series. I'm sort of hoping, and I'll tell you why I'm also not hoping in a second. I'm sort of hoping that we'll get an episode backtracking and seeing all of those cutout scenes where he's not Steven and he turns to Mark and he murks those dudes. When he's in the town square and Steven blacks out, and then all of a sudden he's holding the scarab and it's bloodied and there's 4 guys laying on the ground around him. He's driving a truck down the street. He blacks out and all of a sudden all the guys behind him are dead and there's a guy falling out of the truck. He blacks out again and all of a sudden the truck is going in reverse and that huge truck carrying the lumber is toppling down the mountainside and killing all these people as he navigates through that. I'm half hoping that we do get an episode seeing the other side of that, where we see Mark take over and we see how methodical he is, how collected he is, even in the moments where he's jumping in at a moment where he doesn't exactly know what's going on because Steven has been in control. But Mark takes over and he's like, all right, whatever I'm about to face, I'm going to face it. I'm going to keep us safe. I want to see him do that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row during that sequence.
Ooh, yeah.
The reason I don't want to see it is because I think it might hurt the momentum of the show. If we turn around and go back now, we just kind of got our feet off the ground and got people interested. I don't want to turn back around right away and look at everything that we just saw from a different perspective. I can see how it would be fun. Like I just mentioned, it might be cool to see that from Mark's point of view. But at the same time, I think I'd be okay with never revisiting that moment. I think I'd be all right with seeing him go through those instances just as Steven, and then learning why he's going through those instances, and then following it from Steven to Mark to Steven to Mark, and just never breaking that line of continuity, if you will. So
I love that.
I see it both ways. I'd be really okay if we saw Mark hop back in and show him during those moments and see how he kept everyone safe, everyone being his multiple personalities. But I'd also be okay with us just never seeing that, and just living with the same knowledge that Steven has of, okay, I'll never know what I did there, and I'm just going to have to be okay with that. I think that would really keep us on the same page as Steven in a very unique way.
Yes. That is man, I love that so much, JRB. Because like I've had this idea that if we are gonna meet Moon Knight, and Moon Knight is Mark Spector, and he's like the personality in Moon Knight is Mark Spector, right? But I've also like read that maybe it's Khonshu who's in charge inside the costume, but it might be I'm telling you to do this, and he's like, all right, whatever, I will do that because
Right.
fine. Like he's removed his empathy, so now he can be an absolute killing machine. I think that I hope that we get to see that fight. All right, I'm gonna predict this whole episode. Fuck it. We're gonna start out. We're gonna start out at the end of last week, and he's gonna take control. It's gonna be that same scene from Steven's perspective. He takes control. He kicks his ass. We go through, and then we get instant flashback to how he became Moon Knight. Maybe it's narrated or whatever, but we see the events of him becoming Moon Knight. We meet this lovely Layla lass, and along the way, we find out how he became paired with Khonshu. Maybe we learn about Stephen Grant of it all. I doubt that happens yet. We have to learn about Mark and then why they're connected and how they're connected first. But then I think we can get a little bit of like so let me catch you up kind of thing. Like that could be fun. Like, so, I had complete control, and as of late, ever since this period, I've lost all ability to control my fear in these times, and I try and let him have control, and we blah, blah, blah. Like, and it could just be, sometimes I wake up and it could be hilarious how he's done. Like, it could be this dry sarcasm and wit where he's like narrating, sometimes I wake up in the middle of being attacked by 4 people and I have to like murder them with a scarab. It's no big deal. Steven, I feel bad for Steven though. He's a good kid, like something like that.
Yeah, I would love that.
And it goes up and it ends. See, that's the thing. I don't know where we're going in this series. So I think it ends with a disagreement with Khonshu, Steven, and Mark. I mean, we've seen in the trailers, it looks like Steven talking to Khonshu, and maybe it's Moon Knight or Mr. Knight, but I'm not gonna lie to you, JRB. I wouldn't be opposed if that's the next episode.
I like that. I think we at least deserve a reason as to why we found Steven in the places that we found him in the first episode, like in the middle of a field holding a weird Egyptian scarab, and then having some crazy leader asking for it back, and when he doesn't give it back, he tries to kill him. I think we at least deserve that much. So how they're going to explain that is totally up in the air. I think they could do a few different things with it, but the lead up to it, how he gets there, why he's waking up as Steven during that time at all, when Mark was able to kind of keep him under wraps for a couple days. Why did he wake up in that field? What happened that made that switch where Steven was all of a sudden present again and fighting for that control? What went on there? Does it have something to do with the scarab? Does it have something to do with Ethan Hawke's Arthur? I don't know, but I'm hoping that the next episode, or maybe I'd be okay if they waited till episode 3 or 4, but we'll get those answers soon enough. It's just going to be a matter of how they present them. I'm very interested in seeing how they present them.
I do remember from the promotional material, like jumping and falling, like jumping out on back first and falling. And it, he wakes up, looks up, and guy looks down and is like, how did he survive that?
Right.
And it's like, So I do get a feeling we will see it. I'm intrigued to see if they can stick that landing.
Yeah.
Kill me now. But I think that's it for Moon Knight, man. Like, what a start! What a start, man.
Very strong. The fact that we spent this much time talking about the premiere for a character that both of us, I would say, have very little background knowledge on, except for maybe the last year of comic research that we've done. I know I didn't know much about Moon Knight until I did a comic read along with some people in the direct Discord. This is very cool to see this very obscure, unknown character who is shockingly similar to the Batman, who has a huge feature film out right now, take up this much of my headspace is pretty wild.
Yeah. Out of 10, what would you rank the episode?
I'd give it a solid 8, maybe even inching towards a 9. And honestly, the only reason I'm not giving it 10 is because I don't give anything a 10, unless Iron Man's in it. So, but honestly, like, this is, I mean, we'll have to see the whole show to say for sure, but this might be the strongest start they could have given. And that's saying that for any series they've done. Like I said, I'd put this up there with WandaVision's premiere on my list, and that was the number 1 spot. So, very, very strong. I'd give it I'll say 9. I'll say 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And half of that is just for Oscar Isaac's acting. I mean, dude, they picked the perfect person to play different personalities, because seeing him wait at the steakhouse and he's like, it's time for steak time, like hearing like the insecurity and the brokenness in his voice, and like the unsure, like the not being sure of himself, like, and then also switching over to someone like Mark Spector, like, man, I'm already such a big fan of this show, and we're only 1 out of 6 episodes in. So it's going to be a fun one.
It's going to be a wild ride. And hey, man, it might cross over with Doctor Strange. You never know.
Could be.
Week 5 is the premiere of Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So
yeah, that's wild. I can't believe that's happening again already.
Wait a minute. I might be wrong there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, the finale is the same week as Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So, having said that, kiddos, you can find LightsThunderAction on social media by finding us at Linktr.com/LightsThunderAction. That'll get you to links to our Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, as well as all of our live streaming locations, all right there in the feed for you. JRB, where can everyone find you on social media?
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at JRB_direct. That's pretty much it. I'm always jumping in and out of the Direct's Discord server. I know I plug it all the time, but if you guys want to link up in there and have a chat, I'm always down to talk anything Marvel, DC, Star Wars, or anything you got. So let us know.
Heck yeah. You can find all my links at Linktree.com/TCRochesterACT. That's TCRochesterACT. That's also my Twitter handle. It's the only one that links up, because the rest of them are all different, because my name is long and it doesn't fit on a Twitter handle. The struggle be real. But you, we thank you. That's not a sentence. JRB, what do you have to promote? Monday
awesome.
Night Mayhem.
Yeah, man. No, that's great. That's great. Well, I don't know if I asked you. What are you watching this week?
This week, yeah, Rebels probably is my guess.
Rebels.
I did. We talked a little bit. I did watch a little bit of Midsummer.
Mm-hmm.
Over half.
Okay, yeah. So we started talking. I asked what you did watch. Okay, cool. So yeah, what are you going to be watching this coming week then, other than this awesome episode 2 of Moon Knight?
Well, I heard that Young Justice Phantoms season 4 back half of the season just premiered their first 3 episodes of the run on HBO Max, so I'm going to be adding that to my list.
Awesome.
I loved that series so much. This whole season has been fracking confusing, but somebody pointed out that since season 3, all of the titles of the episodes, the first letter ends up spelling out a phrase.
Oh,
season 3 was the anti-life equation is coming or something like that. And this one, it looks like it might say, prepare, you've been invited to kneel before Zod. And
that's a long phrase. How many episodes are we talking here?
22.
Holy smokes. That's a lot of episodes. Okay.
Give or take. Yeah. Half-hour cartoon animated episodes. Season 4 is emotional. Some episodes, there's not even a fight going on. It's just sadness. And if you've been here for 12 years since they premiered it, man, it's extra sad. A certain character is dead, but I now think that I know there's a specific zone that they'll phantom out of, which is why it's called Season 4 Young Justice Phantoms. So I'm going to be watching that. I'm going to probably try and finish Rebels. I need to start Daredevil and go back and rewatch that. I never watched Season 3. I have scathingly reviewed season 2 on this podcast, and I have felt terrible every day since. Yeah, because people worked hard on that, and it still got a season 3, and people love it. And I might be the one who hated the season 2 more than anybody, and so I feel bad. So I got to go back and give it an honest, fair review, not just off of bad member berries. JRB, what are you going to be watching this week?
So other than hoping that I can sit through Death on the Nile in a single sitting without falling asleep, I am going to be tuning in for the season finale of Severance on Apple TV Plus. It might actually present a very similar morality issue that we might see play out in Moon Knight, where we see split personalities and one taking advantage of and mistreating the other. So if you want to catch up with Severance, now's the time. Season finale drops. Technically, they advertise it as dropping on Friday, but I can tell you it actually debuts on Thursday night at 8 or 8:30 Central Time. So if you want to shoot it now, the first 7 episodes are streaming. Catch up and watch the finale with me Thursday night at 8 or 8:30, whichever of those it is. Yeah, and we're gonna. Man, that show is just freaking nuts. Every single episode is a mind bend, and I'm really excited to see if they'll leave it open for a second season, or if there will be some sort of resolution, or maybe neither. I don't know, but we will see. So join me Thursday night. I'll be watching Severance on Apple TV Plus.
Yes. Quick, shameful self-promotion moment. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if I've mentioned that Reckless Rebellion situation, but you should definitely hop over to our Twitter account and vote for my team on the Star Wars music draft.
Doing it now.
I'm not doing well. I don't think I can beat Binary Sunset and Battle of the Heroes. I've been scathed by my friends, but I went with my heart. Nobody seems to like my heart picks. That's okay. I just listen to Across the Stars in my room alone and just dream of love. But
of course, David's winning this poll right now at 44%. Let's get Thomas up there.
Is he really winning?
He is. There's plenty of time left, though. There's plenty of time. This poll just started. There's only 27 votes in.
Yes. Oh, there's only 27. That's good. I'm in last place still.
Tied for last.
This is a quick graphic. You know, David, my team is Duel of the Fates, Across the Stars, March of the Resistance, A Friend, which is Luke Skywalker's legendary theme, and Teacher's Pet, which incorporates a bunch of different ones. As they pointed out, I didn't pick a single song from the original trilogy, and I think that's why I'm losing. So it'd be like that. My bad. Whatever.
Well, man, get some better music, original trilogy. Anyway.
I appreciate
the mistake for that.
You are.
It's okay. I'm allowed to, right?
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right.
you're not a Star Wars like super fan. You're just
No.
casual at best.
No.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached the end of the show. I'm sorry. I feel like that's not fair. Human beings, we've reached the end of the show for all of you who are non-binary and all that. We want everyone to feel included here. So humans, we've reached the end of the show. I just realized I say that all the time. It's
No,
been
yeah,
built
it's
in
great
since
because
childhood.
I did see Ezra Miller pop in the chat earlier, so I'm glad we did that. This was the right episode to make that inclusion.
Yes, it is. We've reached the end of the show.
How's the
As
Wi-Fi in your
always,
jail cell? Sorry,
What?
that's the last thing I'll say.
God damn.
All right.
Well, as always,
We're
there
done.
could be no show without the Iron Man variant to my left, world famous journalist Tony Stark, John Ross Bradford, bringing a much needed eloquence, wit, and billionaire playboy philanthropist energy. Thank you to Terry McIver and David Thompson for their work behind the scenes and for hopping in here with the chat. Shout out Terry McIver. He got the show shared out, and then he said his phone fell on his face a couple times, so I told him to go to bed. Which I don't think he needed me to tell him to go to bed. He was already doing it, but thank you to the HWWS WebTV family for supporting us and carrying us on the network. Most importantly, thank you fans that join us here weekly, whether you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, or listening via Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, or Spotify. My Wi-Fi's back. We appreciate you spending your time with us.
Yes, absolutely. And be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Drop us a comment, leave us a review, give us 5 stars while you're at it. Of course, only if you feel we are worthy.
Worthy. As always, I'm TCR.
And I'm JRB.
Thank you for joining episode 80 of LTA. We'll see you next time. Not as close.